So, I was going to call this episode Lighting Rigs, but I think the word rig makes it sound a bit too high-tech. As we saw from last week, the lighting on PI really isn't that complex, but it does take a while to set up. So, when you have 86 shots, which is how many PI has, it would take a long time to go through and manually light every single shot by hand. So one of the quick ways to speed it up is just to reuse the same scene. In this case, we've already lit the environment, so all we need to do is import the camera, render out the angle we need, and boom, we've lit our background in less than 10 seconds. Now, obviously it's not quite as simple when we're dealing with things that are animated, but we can still automate the process quite a bit. In this case, we've got our main character, Walter, all lit the way we like him, and if you look, there's really not a whole lot of stuff going on with the lights. Most of what takes a long time to set up is all the custom passes and the overrides and special materials that you have for the different passes. So what we're going to do is export the lights, because we can reuse everything we've done with those. And also I've made a material library that has all of the custom materials in it. So now we're going to open up the first version of the scene back before we had put any lights into it at all. And we're going to turn on an option in the script editor called command logging. I've seen something like this in every 3D application I've ever used. Basically all it means is that as you're doing something in the interface, it's going to log the commands that it's performing under the hood to actually make those changes to your scene. So now that we have command logging on, we are going to import the lights, and it gives us the command for that. We're also going to import the material library, and then we're going to go through and recreate the entire scene just like it was in the fully lit version. We have to recreate all of our passes, set our render settings just how we want them, and then when we're done, you copy the commands that have been logged and paste them into the script editor. Now, I like to go through and clean up the code a little bit, but if you're not comfortable with scripting, you don't need to do this. Just remember that everything you've done, whether it was saving the scene or deleting an object, that's all in this script, so you need to be careful. The last thing to do is just to test our script. So here is a shot that has Walter in it. We are just going to hit run, and it lights the shot for us, just as if we were sitting at the controls, except the computer's doing all the work while we get to sit back and enjoy a tasty beverage. Now, there's one other cool thing that happens when you light a scene this way, and that is that everything has the exact same settings. So not only can we reuse the lights, but we can also reuse the comp. And that saves a ton of time, especially when you're dealing with those shots, like I mentioned from last week, that might have 60 passes. Everything has the exact same settings, so you just replace the footage from the new shot, and it's never quite perfect, but usually with a little bit of tweaking, you've got a final comp in less than an hour. So that's my super hacky lighting workflow. If you have questions or ideas for episodes, be sure to drop by the blog, and I'll see you next week.